Hey foodies, welcome back to Grab a Bite. In this episode, we're venturing into the rich, bold flavors of the South with the true culinary trailblazer, Chef Miguel Cabel Moreno, the chef and owner of Palm Grill. He's on a mission to put a spotlight on Mindanaoan cuisine. We're diving into his incredible journey from bringing authentic Zambasulta flavors to the city to the moment he landed a Michelin Bib Gourmand, and what that means for the future of Mindanao food. So sit back, relax, and let's grab a bite with Chef Miguel Moreno. Hey, what's up, foodies? Welcome back to Grab a Bite. So today we'll be talking about an overlooked cuisine that has been gaining a lot of attention recently, and that is the Mindanao cuisine. We have a chef who will be joining us and talk about more about Mindanaoan cuisine. He's been championing this cuisine for many years now, and recently he just won the Michelin Bib Gourmand for his restaurant, Palm Grill. So guys, let's all welcome on the show, Chef Miguel Cabel Moreno. What's up, Chef?
Good morning. It's also a pleasure to be here. Every opportunity na I get to be able to propel Mindanaoan cuisine and what I do, I get really giddy and excited. So thank you for having me.
Yes, and it's one of the topics that I'm really excited to talk about because I love Mindanaoan food. However, hindi siya ganun ka-popular here, especially in Manila. And I really loved how Palm Grill basically put a spotlight on Mindanaoan cuisine. So, but before we talk about that, let's start with something chill. Let's make it fun a bit. So, chef, what's your favorite food of all time?
Is it specific to Filipino ba? Or
Not really.
Of all time? Well, it has to be Filipino for sure. I like puchero.
Puchero.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. And if we go international, there's a lot actually to choose from. But if I were to recall something from most recent that I like that's foreign, that has to be pasta.
Pasta.
Yes,
Any pasta?
yeah. Well, I like cacio e pepe. I like it as simple as that. Yeah.
Cacio e pepe is nice.
Yeah.
Very interesting yung answer na yun. I don't normally hear cacio e pepe. I mean,
Talaga?
mostly I guess chefs appreciate it.
Yeah.
But, for casual foodies, mostly they'll pick something with a heavy sauce.
Yeah. Well, I like everything. I like pasta that's done simply. I mean, simple. So that's why I gravitate towards that. Sometimes I just, make pasta at home. I just put butter, salt, and pepper, and that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just a bit of good cheese.
Yes.
So, chef, you said you like pasta, di ba? Ngayon na nag-pop up sa utak ko. If you're going to make a Mindanaoan pasta, or like a pasta inspired by Mindanaoan cuisine, what type of pasta or ano yung flavors nilalagay mo doon?
Well, the Pyanggang is made with a sauce that's cooked with coconut milk and spices. What we call pamapa. So that sauce, basically, the byproduct of making that, I already did that in putting it on top of pasta, mixing it all together, and always is a perfect combination. So if I were to make pasta that's Mindanaoan, I'll put the Pyanggang sauce on top of it, and then probably add grilled chicken breast on top. And then that's perfect. I think para sa akin, yeah.
Solid, very creamy.
Solid,
Ano siya?
yeah.
Coconutty.
Coconutty, yes.
A
Yeah.
bit of smoky.
Spice laced and smoky and all that. So.
Okay. So mag-lunch pa lang kami, so medyo nagutom ako doon. How would you describe Mindanaoan food? For a person who doesn't have any idea of what Mindanaoan food is.
Well, Gio, I always tell this when people ask me what's the difference between Mindanaoan food, I always say that it takes a 180-degree turn. When you travel to the island of Mindanao, it's because most of Mindanao has never been colonized by the Spaniards when they came. And they were really able to keep traditions in terms of cooking methods as well. So it has been heavily influenced by the Southeast Asian countries, the neighbors like Sabah, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, and it's very common in the flavor profiles when you discover Mindanaoan cuisine. So I always say it's coconut based. It uses a lot of spices, root crops like lemongrass, turmeric, garlic, ginger, and all that, and chilies, and that sets it apart from the rest of the Philippines. So when I get asked how to describe it, I always say it's rich, it's spice laden, it uses a lot of root crops, and at the end of the day, it comes with history and culture. Stories of how it came about, which is very rich as well.
Very rich.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed, not just with Mindanaoan cuisine, but literally in Mindanao, the island, it's culturally rich. It's
Yes.
very colorful. If I was going to describe the culture there, it's vibrant.
It's vibrant. Yeah.
Ang daming, I think again, the media kasi we have I wouldn't say a bad connotation, but our perception of Mindanao, it's war-torn. Di ba?
Yeah.
So, minsan din naka-cloud ng tao na parang Mindanao is really, really beautiful.
Oh,
And
yes.
It's rich in everything, in my opinion. It's rich in culture, food. It's rich in natural resources in general. So, it's very, very vibrant.
Yeah, that's correct, Gio. Kasi ako, I'm open to telling people all the time that I'm proud to be Tausug. I was born in Losulu. I grew up in Zamboanga City, and I would not trade that for anything. I mean, having that first-hand experience growing up as a child in the island and getting exposed to all these things really, I think, helped a lot in propelling my goals in life. I mean, moving forward, me being as a chef now, it all stems down to, childhood memories, stories, and tasting flavors, and getting exposed to everything that's fresh and good and rich. And I would never trade that for anything. If I were to be born again, I would choose to be born again in Sulu or to grow up in Zamboanga, because these are childhood memories I will keep forever and for the rest of my life. So yeah.
That's nice. You said Tausug. So you would consider your cuisine Tausug cuisine, right?
Yes.
But there's also another side of Mindanao food, which for some, even to me, it's a bit, different term kasi siya. So Tausug and Maranao. Maranao cuisine, right?
Yeah.
What's the main difference? Are they similar, or there's a really difference between those two cuisines?
There's a lot of similarities. Maranaoan food, Magindanaoan food, Tausug food. There's a lot of similarities because these are the same group of people that originated from one region, from one place. They just basically expanded and reached other parts of Mindanao. So hence, that's why the Tausug are called the people of the current, and then the Magindanaoans are called the people of the lake. What similarities that this both group of people have is they come from bodies of water. And because the origin is from the same time and period, there's just probably practices and cooking methods that vary, but the usage of coconut is very evident in whichever group of people you encounter in Mindanao, whether it is Maranaoans or Tausugs, or you always find spices, you always find coconut milk, you always find chilies and all this stuff. So there's so much commonality. It's just that probably because of adapting to where they are at the moment. So a lot of things change in terms of cooking methods and stuff like those. But the heart and soul of their cuisine basically is the same.
Is there distinct differences from those two, since we've talked about commodities?
Well, okay. For a spice mix that they commonly use, the Tausugs call it pamapa, and the other call it palapa. And the difference between the two is that Tausugs incorporate burnt coconut, while the other incorporates more of the turmeric and coconut and fresh coconut. So that's the difference. The other one is yellow in color, the other one is black because of the burns. But basically, these are both spice mix, which are the key ingredients in making specialties. So, ganun. So that's, I think, one of the things that's very notable when you look into the cuisines of these two different people or tribe. Yeah.
Would you say pamapa and palapa is basically the core ingredient of Mindanaoan cuisine?
Oh yes, I'd like to believe yes, because the spice mix is what they use for most of their specialties in their cooking. So it's the base ingredients.
Does Mindanaoan cuisine have like the Holy Trinity? Kasi diba when we talk about Holy Trinity, example, pag sinabing French cuisine, it's always the onion, celery, and carrots. Does Mindanaoan cuisine have that?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. I mean, but don't really quote me on this, but I think it has to be coconut milk, chilies, and turmeric.
Turmeric. So
yes.
Those are the three talaga.
Those are the three, yeah.
Ito yung kumbaga kasama lagi sa...
Yes, hindi siya nawawala. Kumbaga, it's always part of the cuisine. It's always part of the dishes that they come up with, yeah.
Chef, there's this onion, I think, that's really, really used in... I think this one is in Maranao cuisine, like sakurab.
Sakurab, yeah.
Yes, the sakurab. Is it an essential ingredient in Mindanao cuisine, would you say?
Well, yeah, I think every ingredient is essential. You take one, it's not going to be the same.
Okay.
So similar to like when you make tula itum, the black beef soup of the Tausug, there's one ingredient that is distinct, which is the galangal, or the blue ginger, the langkwas. And you don't find that in the Pyanggang manok, for instance. So, each key ingredient plays an important role in making the specialties in the dishes. So, you take one, it doesn't make sense. I mean, at least, parang ganun. Yeah.
Meron ka bang bias na Mindanaoan food? Like example, if you had your pinaka-favorite na
Tausug dish or Maranao dish or in general, Mindanaoan dish, what would that be?
That's got to be Pyanggang manok. Yeah.
Why? What's the story
Well,
behind that?
well, I grew up enjoying the Pyanggang manok. And the Pyanggang manok that we offer sa restaurant namin is actually some sort of like a family tradition as well. And going back to my high school days at the Ateneo in Zamboanga, I would always participate in this yearly activity wherein I get a booth, I sell my family's Pyanggang manok, and it always gets sold out.
Nice.
So I was pretty entrepreneurial at a very young age too. No? So parang growing up and getting to experience how it's done, how it's made in the kitchens of my grandmother, eventually my mom. So parang that sparked my interest in learning how to cook it. And then, masarap talaga siya eh. Ako sabi ko kasi, food has to evoke memory, emotions and all that. So Pyanggang has always been that for me. So if I have a bias, like what you said, it has to be that particular dish. So going back to selling it on a yearly basis at the Ateneo Fiesta, we have that event every December. So laging sold out yan, laging pila. Tapos bago matapos yung lunch run, ubus na. Yeah, and that's when I started to really have that idea na maybe in the future, I'd like to put up a restaurant and I'd like to champion and introduce this more. And I guess that's the core memory as to why Palm Grill really came about. So yun, it's Pyang. I don't know. I just really love it so much. I mean, Tulay Tum is great. Chicken piaparan, I've tried that many times over. I love it too. There's a lot of Mindanaoan cuisines, but it always brings me back to Pyanggang.
The Pyanggang.
Yeah.
Would you say Pyanggang started your passion for cooking?
Oo naman, syempre. Kasi core memory. Bata pa lang ako, nakikita ko yung how it's being done. The burning of the coconut, the scent, the smell, and having all these other ingredients put together. So parang that really sparked my interest. And sabi ko talagang, wow, it's super interesting, to see burning of the coconut meat and incorporating it into a food. And then it comes out to be very delicious. So that was really, I think, the starting point for me as a kid. Yeah.
Who inspired you to pursue this passion of cooking?
Like I've said earlier, my grandmother, taught us many cooking skills and methods. And then eventually my mom also, these are trade secrets that you pass down in your family. So they were my inspirations really as to why I wanted to get into cooking in the first place. So aside from that, of course, my grandparents' legacy, I've seen them growing up. They've devoted their life into promoting Tausug culture, history, and all that. And they never left. Like my grandfather hails from Ilocos Norte. He's an Ilocano. My grandmother is a Tausug. So they met in Holosulu and then they devoted their lives into service to people. And the brand of service before is not the same as the brand of service now, right? So dati parang it was really hard work and labor and love and passion. And I've seen that firsthand growing up, and they became some sort of my poster figure of how I would like to eventually live my life in the future. So yun. All of those bits and pieces of my life experiences put together really came about that big inspiration for me to, do what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah.
Was Pyanggang manok the first dish you ever cooked?
Yes. Pyanggang manok. But it's funny because our household, actually, Gio, every special occasions, there's always a lot. It's a huge mix of, we have beef steak, we have potato salad, we have lengua estofao, we have pyanggang, we have tulay itum. So we were pretty much taught as kids that, to appreciate everything on the table. So our taste buds were not limited to just Tausug or Mindanaoan cuisine. We were educated in a way to try other cuisines as well. So my grandmother, I remember, makes banging potato salad, and I always try to replicate that every Christmas. She adds celery and all this, and it's beautiful memories. And she makes lengua estofao like no other. So, and we serve that in our other concept restaurant, Cabel in Malacanang. So these are the specialties over there. So parang we were educated, our taste buds were trained to be able to decipher, understand, appreciate different flavors and textures and profiles. And I'm so grateful for that, So I think it helps a lot, especially now as a chef, in putting out food and knowing what's masarap sa hindi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Cabel, do you also handle Cabel?
Yes, I do. Although my brother helps me in managing the
Managing the
restaurant,
restaurant.
but the kitchen and all the specialties that come out of the restaurant, really, I handle. So some sort of like, you may say, executive chef for both of the
Yes,
restaurants.
for both.
So yeah, I look into the research and development and deciding what to put in the menu and all that stuff, what to take out and all. Yeah.
So Palm Grill is mostly focused on Mindanaoan food, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
then Cabel,
correct.
it's Filipino, all around Filipino.
Yeah, Cabel is actually our way of celebrating the love story of my grandfather and my grandmother.
Beautiful.
Kasi he hails from Ilocos. My grandmother's Tausug, so it's north to south. So we felt as a family it was fitting to put up a heritage Filipino restaurant that celebrates specialties from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Kasi I consider myself, Gio, as a purist in that sense. I like my Filipino cuisine the way it's done.
The way it's
Yeah,
done.
traditionally way it's done. I mean, I have nothing against fusion.
Okay.
Okay lang yon, pero don't serve me sinigang with watermelon, please. Hindi ko siya magugustuhan, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes, gets. Okay, medyo kinabahan ako kasi yun ata in order kong pagkain.
Ganun ba?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. So speaking of purists, syempre nowadays, Mindanaoan cuisine it's getting attention. Although so far, I think here, especially in the metro, it's mostly focused on traditional
Yeah.
authenticity, right? What you basically would order in Zamboanga, that's what they're trying to serve here. So moving forward, maybe in the future, are you against it to being, modernized a bit?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it because, like, I mean, you've eaten in Palm Grill, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
you've tried the tula itum, and we serve it with a slab of baked bone
Yes,
marrow that
yes,
we torch on the table. So that's some sort of like a modernizing the tula itum and making it more presentable, I guess, or appealing and interesting to people who will be having it for the first time. Because traditionally, tula itum is never done that way.
Yes.
So, ako naman, in terms of modernizing, for as long as you don't cross there's a fine line in a lot of things. Like, for example, if you don't make the tula itum with pork, because that's a no-no,
Yes,
you
yes,
know?
definitely.
And that's crossing the line for me. That you don't do. But if you want to modernize it in such a way of like what I did, in presenting it with the baked bone marrow and torching it, I'm fine with that kind of stuff. So it's not forgetting to respect
Yes.
the people who made it before us, the traditions that it come with, the stories. Okay ako with modernizing it. But so wag lang too much to the extent that
Yeah.
you forget, its origin. Yeah.
Yes. I agree kasi if you change it with pork, it kind of goes against the
Yeah.
religion of people eating
Of course,
it,
of
diba?
people eating it. So parang, I mean, I do get, I mean, there was an article a long time ago, I came across with na parang a particular chef made Pyanggang out of pork. So parang, and that took a lot of backlash from people.
Yeah,
So,
the most
yeah.
recent one is the pastil. Because pastil...
I think that was a pastil too, right?
Pastil became popular in the past few years. Diba? I think that's one of the... I wouldn't say the poster child food
Yeah.
of Mindanao, but siya yung kasi madaling i-reproduce ko.
Yes,
Reproduce. Kumbaga, mass-produce.
Mass-produced and very easy to make.
Very easy to make,
oh,
yeah. So I think the pandemic, a lot of people were making pastil.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
think that's the one. It's not
Yes.
Pyanggang. I stand corrected. I think it was a pastel that was made into pork.
Pork, yes. They made a
yeah.
pork pastil.
Pork pa-
Then,
yeah.
people were saying na parang hindi siya dapat maging pork kasi it's supposedly pork is not being served
Yes.
in those parts of
Yes,
the country.
that's
diba?
correct. So yun. That's what I'm saying, Gio, na parang there are lines that you don't cross. So parang with that, I think it got a lot of backlash from people, and I felt na parang he had it coming.
Yeah.
Kasi, I mean, you have to back it up with a little bit of research. Like, come on, it's 2026. You don't just put things out there
Agree.
in the open without, respecting where it came from.
Yeah.
So yun, yung mga ganong bagay. So okay lang yung modernizing. Wala namang problem. Like ako, I mean, with my Pyanggang, for instance, right? A lot of people tell me na, bakit iba siya pag, galing ako ng Holo, galing ako ng Tawi-Tawi Basila, nagpyanggang kami, pero bakit iba yung sayo? It's mainly because, I mean, we've added cooking methods to change it a bit. But the true essence of it being a Pyanggang still is a Pyanggang. I mean, we didn't take out ingredients, we didn't take out other processes. We just added a few methods to make it our own and to make it more, I think, palatable for the Manila crowd. And like I say, there's always it always varies. There's a lot of versions of adobo. Every household has an adobo, right? And every household in Mindanao, at least the Tausug people has a version of their Pyanggang. So if you encountered it quite differently from how I presented it, it doesn't make it different. It just probably elevates it to a point where it gets to be appreciated more, because that's the purpose of what we do in Palm Grill. Yeah.
When you started becoming a chef, was it really your vision to push for Mindanaoan food? Or was there like a different plan? Kumbaga parang, because growing up, when you were a chef, medyo creative mind ang chef lagi eh, di ba?
Yeah.
So pag creative yung mind, minsan we like to focus on other cuisines and stuff and create this and that. As you said, you were purist. But was it really your intention to push Mindanaoan food once you become a chef?
Well, from the get-go, I always knew I wanted to represent Tausug cuisine, specifically Pyanggang. I wanted to introduce it to more people because I've always believed in that product. So in conceptualizing the restaurant at first, I mean, I will not lie to you, Gio, no? Parang, I did, of course, wanted to propel the Mindanaoan narrative, but in 2017, it wasn't fashionable to do regional cuisines, So in the process, parang I started to have doubts. So when we opened Palm Grill for the first time, I will not lie. I mean, we did have Mindanaoan specialties in the menu, but we had other specialties that we included. No, parang we had fried chicken, we had roast chicken, we even had pastas at first, because when we opened the restaurant and really focused on Mindanaoan, people were not gravitating towards it. So parang in the business side of things, I got scared. Na parang, oh my gosh, people come in and they look for stuff. Like parang, wala ba kayong ganito, wala ganyan. So parang, there was a point in time na I tried to give in to that. I included, those other specialties in the menu, but also having Mindanaoan, just a small part of the menu. So people would order that, but there were pastas and fried chicken and roast chicken and all that stuff, no? So, and then I think it was only up until we celebrated our 3rd year anniversary, that's when I really felt that it was a disservice to what I really wanted to do in life. And it didn't sit right with me. So on our 3rd year anniversary, I took the leap of faith. Sabi ko, I'm gonna scrap all the other things. I'm gonna really just focus on Mindanaoan cuisine. And looking back, we even did call it pang a green chicken eh. Hindi siya Pyanggang. Kasi parang they can't pronounce it, they don't know what it is. A lot of people keep on asking ano yun. So parang, gosh, I'll just call it the green chicken para madali. So I started calling it the green chicken. And along the way, I got emails and messages and phone calls from people who started reacting negatively towards it. Na parang, ba't mo tinatawag green chicken ng Pyanggang? Or bakit mo sinasabing the black bulalo of the South ang tiula itung? Parang, and that's some sort of become the pivotal moment, a realization na, look, it's true, it's correct. I mean, I'm getting called out for this because I'm not being true to my being authentic. So on the 3rd year anniversary, we had to revamp and reintroduce it. And then on the 3rd year, that's when we went full on Mindanaoan. I even told my family na parang bahala na. People will like it or not, they gravitate towards it or not. I'm just gonna do what I know what to do. And I'll wholeheartedly push for it. And that's when the story of Palm Grill really evolved. It was when I saw myself going back to my roots and finding my ground and pushing for what truly it meant from the get-go. And not giving in to what people wanted. That's when I think Palm Grill really started to shine. Yeah.
So when did you see na parang nagbabago na yung narrative? Natututo na yung people na to appreciate regional cuisine for Palm Grill? When did that happen?
That happened actually. It's a slow burn. Eh. I think it was a slow burn for us kasi it happened with the help of famous bloggers and personalities who wanted to explore Mindanaoan cuisine. I remember, if I may share, Kulas, becoming a Filipino. He's one of the people that up to now I remained really good friends with. It's building relationships along the way. What other people don't understand in opening businesses like restaurants, you have to build relationships with the right people. And you have to keep those relationships because these are the type of relationships that will help you along the way. So I will remember Kulas passing by Palm Grill one time, discovering that we serve Mindanaoan, and because he's a proud Filipino and he's a proud Mindanaoan, he came and ate sati.
Hati.
because he came across it in his travels in Zamboanga. So nung kumain siya, he vlogged about it, he went live, and it just exploded from there. You know, people just started to come and discover the restaurants, and I will never forget him because of that gesture that he did for us. And after that, people just started to come to the restaurant, trying out sati, trying out the knicker, which is the knickerbocker version, the
Yes.
halo-halo of Zamboanga City and all that. So moments like those in life, in the process of that slow burn in introducing Mindanaoan, really helped propel Palm Grill to that stage. And it was slow, it wasn't easy, it never happened overnight, but moments like those I will forever cherish, Gio.
And I think slowly, Palm Grill is getting known as the go-to Mindanaoan food here in Manila.
I'd like to believe. I mean, a lot of people tell me na. I mean, I have a friend, a food writer friend, si Jeeves. Hi, Jeeves. If you ever happen to listen to this podcast, he coined that term. When he sees me, he always calls me the priest of Zambasulta cuisine. And I go like, well, wag naman. Sabi niya, no, friend, because you're a purveyor. You're a champion of Mindanaoan cuisine. I mean, you did that even before it was fashionable for people to talk about it. So you deserve that. And it humbles me, when I hear this stuff, when I'm being called this certain, terms and accolades and whatnot. So yeah, and I consider that as a badge of honor, I guess. And representation matters a lot to me, Gio. And I see that when people look for me or turn to me when they want to learn about Mindanaoan cuisine and culture and history and stories and all that, I'd like to be that face for them, and I'd like to be that representation, and I'm proud, doing what I'm doing.
Oh, by the way, kasi before I remember, you will only get the chance to try Mindanaoan food if you go to the Muslim communities.
Yes, yeah.
So basically, I think one of the famous one is in Quiapo.
In Quiapo,
So
yeah.
that's where you could get yung mga Mindanaoan.
Yes, yeah. Maranao,
Yes. Aside from that,
so, yeah.
you wouldn't be able to get it or
Yeah.
try it. I think there's also one, pero hindi siya ganun kasikat. In Green Hills, yung mga what do you call this? May mga stalls in Green
yeah.
Hills that sell halal cuisine.
Yes, that's true.
Tapos yun lang yung
yeah.
Those are basically my exposure naman in terms of Mindanaoan food. Because I graduated from Lasal Green Hills. So malapit kami sa Green Hills lagi. So doon lang nagkakaroon ng chance
exposed ka, di ba?
Exposed ka,
Yeah.
makikita mo sila, matatry. The chicken Pyanggang, I think that was the first time I tried it there sa mga food stalls. Because it's interesting. And it's very, very, yung aroma niya kasi yung bango eh. So masasucked in ka talaga, parang ano yun?
Ano yun, yeah.
Especially coming from a person medyo foodie. Mako-curious ka eh. So, but now, Palm Grill is here. It's much more, kumbaga, approachable, I would say. Kasi hindi mo na kailangan magpunta sa mga areas na gano'n. Example, the Muslim communities, which is not everyone is able to go to. Diba?
Yeah, it's not easy acceptable. Gio, it's good that you brought that up. Kasi I always say this, I don't like to take the credit. Because prior to the establishment of Palm Grill in 2017, there had been existing eateries in Quiapo, like you said, Manila, Green Hills, that had been doing this. But I think if you talk about getting the credit, it's because of bringing it to mainstream.
Mainstream, exactly.
And making it readily accessible to many. Because like you said, it's hard to get inside the Quiapo Muslim community if you want to discover this. And most of them, their business is there because they're solely there for business purposes.
Yes.
So Palm Grill came about because it wasn't the main goal. It wasn't just about putting up a business. It was about representation. It was making it accessible, making it mainstream, readily available to people. So that's the difference, I guess. But I've always said this. I don't take all the credit. I share it with the Muslim communities who have been there prior to Palm Grill, and who still exist at the moment. I even tell customers na parang if you really wanna immerse yourself into experiencing it raw, you go to these communities.
Yes.
You dive into these communities. But knowing the Manila crowd, they wouldn't be really as open to trying it out, diba? So, pero I always say that. I never discredit the fact that these are the people who paved the way. And I'm proud that we are all doing it together for one purpose and cause.
Why do you think people are getting curious about Mindanao food now?
Well, because it's the only unexplored part of the country. The Mindanao island has been plagued for the long guest time, preconceived notions and ideas about it being unsafe,
Yes.
war-torn and all that. Well, which is very funny to me because if you travel to Mindanao and some parts of Mindanao, it's a lot safer than Metro Manila.
Totoo.
Alam mo yun?
Agree.
Yung parang, here in Metro Manila, some parts and areas, you get stabbed, diba? On the side. You
Yes.
get, I mean,
You get mugged,
you get
robbed.
mugged, you get robbed, you get all that. In some parts of Mindanao, you hardly even experience that. And this is a preconceived notion which I'd like to change. And it's about time that we discover. And I'm so happy with how it's going so far for Mindanao. I mean, the Department of Tourism has made it clear that gastronomy will be their focus in promoting tourism of the Philippines, because for the longest time we already know, a lot of tourists already know that the Philippines is a beautiful country. It has a
Yes,
lot of
agree.
beaches and islands, and gastronomy has to be the main focus. And there's a mandate that we have to focus on Mindanao because it's the only left unexplored region and island of the country. So there's a lot of clamor for that now because yun nga, madaming taong gustong mag-discover.
Yes.
And that's a great thing, I think. Yeah.
What are your thoughts na this year sinasabi nila that Mindanaoan cuisine would get more recognition and attention?
I hope, I pray, because in my almost a decade of doing Palm Grill, my biggest challenge was getting to be heard, and getting to be discovered. In fact, Gio, prior to all this, if I may share, I mean, sometimes I get customers who would come in the restaurants, no? We explain the menu, then they step out, unwilling to try. I mean, this was prior to all these things, that currently had happened. And sometimes we get customers who would enjoy and discover it and really appreciate it, and yet they would ask you, throw in questions that are quite, ignorant, no? So, I mean, in that almost a decade doing Palm Grill, I faced hardships in that aspect. Getting to be heard, getting to be discovered, discriminated against, I mean, I would even get people who would ask me, anong itsura ng mga tausug? Parang what? Di ba?
Oh my God, what a
Parang,
question.
Like, excuse me, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Di ba? I get asked that way, parang, anong itsura ng mga tausug? Di ba? Parang, ganito po. I'm a tausug chef. What do you mean? Do I have an antenna under my cap? Yung ganon. So, I mean, there was one experience I would share na hindi ko makakalimutan kasi it was a family of 8. They ate, they enjoyed everything to the point that they called me out of the kitchen to tell me that. And then all of a sudden, the father asked, Chef, huwag kang ma-offend, pero pag na-kidnap ba ako, ganito ang serve sa akin ng mga kidnappers ko. Like parang,
A bit insensitive.
right?
Yeah.
So, all these things na parang, oh my gosh. Pero syempre, you just have to put a smile on your face.
Yes.
Even if to them it was a joke, but it was quite an ignorant joke. Pero,
Yes.
like, sometimes it takes you aback and hindi mo alam paano. So, all these things. But these things actually fuels us to do better. It tells me that there's so much work that needs to be done. So, alam mo yon, yung getting all these things, getting all these jabs left and right, appreciation, and then you get hit with stuff like those. These are all life lessons that brings me to, why I wanted to persevere and why I still wanted to continue doing what I'm doing. This kind of stories that reminds me of. Now I just laugh about it, Gio. Parang pag sinishare ko siya, parang, okay.
Yeah, but those were the challenges that you had to face before.
Oh, yeah.
But now, I guess, different times na rin kasi talaga. I think our
Yeah.
cuisine has evolved, our customers has evolved,
Yeah.
eating patterns of people has evolved.
People are starting to be more smart.
More
They,
smart,
I mean, you know what I observed now? They are now intentional eaters. Filipinos are now more intentional in eating and discovering, and that makes me very, very happy. And so kaya sinasabi ko nga, I mean, now I completely understand why other chefs who come from the regions are scared of promoting regional cuisines from where they come from in the metro because of all these things,
Yes.
So I get it, and I always say, with my other regional chef friends, sabi ko, mag-open na kayo. Sabi ko, okay, kaya yan, mangyayari yan, kaya. Kasi look, guinea pig ako eh. Consider me as a guinea pig. I mean, I managed
You
to.
took the leap of faith. You were the first one to
I took the leap of faith, and it worked. And Tausug Cuisine, when I opened it in 2017, like, it's a complete mystery.
Exactly.
People are like, ano yan?
Para siyang cuisine ng ibang bansa. To be
Oo,
honest.
di ba?
Like, nobody knows
Exactly,
about it.
di ba? So parang, look, I persevered. It happened. So it's possible, you know. And I think it's high time for us to promote regional cuisines because I always say this, Gio, if I may share, Filipino cuisine is not limited to adobo, kare-kare. Filipino cuisine is a collection of regional cuisines that when you put it in one table, it represents who we are as a nation and as a people. And I always say that. And I want to change that for everyone. I know it's a huge undertaking, pero with the help of other chefs, you know,
Yes.
other regional chefs, you know, promote our own, you know. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Kaya, pwede.
Kaya,
Magagawa
kaya,
natin.
yeah.
Oo.
Honestly, for me, this is my hot take. Like, Mindanaoan cuisine is the real Filipino food. If you're gonna ask me, but that's just my opinion. Like, why? Because pre-Spanish times, I guess these were the things people were eating.
Yeah, you
Diba?
know,
Like the use of coconut milk.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
spices,
yes.
grilling, maybe
Yeah.
kilawin or whatever.
What I can say is, I'd like to believe, no, I like to agree with you also, because they were never colonized by the Spaniards,
Yes, exactly.
and they were able to retain practices and cooking methods because the influence was, you know, never seen. They never penetrated. You know. So, although there's this contention, they say na, pero bakit it's influenced by the Southeast Asian neighboring countries like Malaysia, Indonesia? Yes, there is influence, but because you have to differentiate the influences. Those influences came about in harmony and in understanding,
Yes,
in trade, in industry.
exactly.
While the other influence came in the manner of taking
Taking.
and changing, and if completely erasing, if
Totoo,
possible,
exactly.
right? So the manner of these two influences is a lot. There's a lot of difference. So that's why I say Tausug cuisine may be highly influenced by the trade, the sultanate, you know, back in the day, and all this stuff. But it was through, you know, understanding,
Understanding, yes.
you know, the commonalities and blending together, enriching it more. So that's the beauty of it. So that's why I agree with you. If I can say it's truly Filipino,
Yeah.
diba? Kasi it's in a way untouched by colonization.
Yes, because
Diba?
if you're gonna ask me, we were before pre-colonial times, we were all kingdoms of
Yeah.
datos and everything.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
most likely or not, those kinahan represent basically shared a common culture. Kahit papaano, even if they're from the north or from the south.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, chef, diba? Southeast Asia most likely had the same culture with like sultanates or
Yes, yeah.
kingdoms. Diba?
Yes,
And then tama yung sabi mo, which I also agree, na nung pagdating ng colonialism, basically they kind of erased some
Yeah,
of those.
of
diba?
course. Yeah, parang, you know, the manner of coming in was
Exactly.
different. So hence, there was a lot of changes too. You know, in the way we cook, the way we lived, the way we see each other, the way we converse. So yeah, so that's why I always say if we want to dig deep into, you know, cooking, really, I mean, Tausug cooking is one of those that we can really say can represent true Filipino cuisine. Not limited to that alone. Of course, there are also other parts of the country which also they were able to preserve culinary methods of Filipino cooking. So altogether, I mean, you know, like I said earlier, Filipino cuisine is never gonna be limited to a specific dish.
Specific dish.
It's a collection of regional cuisines that when you put them all together in a table, that's who we are as
which
Filipinos.
shows us how rich
Yes.
our culture is.
Exactly,
Diba? We're
yeah.
very, very rich talaga pag ito.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's one of the things na for the past few years, people are starting to realize that our cuisine is more than just adobo and more than just sinigang.
Oh
diba?
yeah, definitely. I mean, if we want to stand out against our other Asian, you know, counterparts in promoting cuisine and gastronomy, we gotta have to get out of that thinking. You know, we gotta have to be more complex than just that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with adobo. There's nothing wrong with it. But specifically, kasi I don't like it to be limited to just the identity of who we are. Eh. In fact, I don't rejoice when foreign tourists come in and then they vlog about the balut and then they make it seem as if it's an X factor. It's a challenge,
Yes,
and,
yes.
you know, extra challenge kind of thing. I don't like that. Eh. Kasi parang, why are we... I mean, there's nothing wrong with balut, you know,
Yes.
but why does it have to be like a challenge? Why does it have to seem like Filipino food is that exotic?
Exactly.
Diba? So parang, I mean, one of the videos that I came across with a few years ago was Cardi B's video. She went live eating balot. and she was so disgusted by it. I don't know if you came across that, Gio, no? Pero parang, to me, it's not something to be happy and proud about.
Yeah.
Di ba? Parang,
Kasi kind of represents na pangit yung pagkain.
oo nga, di ba? Parang, parang, okay, like, others were like, wow, like, she's eating balot.
Oo.
Like, oh my God, that's Filipino balot. Pero, in hindsight, it's like, parang, dude,
They're
like,
trashing the food. They're trashing our
you're
cuisine.
trashing the cuisine. What are you saying? Yeah,
Exactly.
di ba? So, kaya parang sabi ko, we have to. That's why I'm happy nowadays, Filipinos are being intentional with what they eat.
Yes.
And I like that. It's a growing thing, and I hope it keeps the momentum going, diba? Kasi parang there's so much more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pag sinabi natin Filipino food or Filipino cuisine, pumapasok agad sa isip natin ang mga pagkain na tulad ng lumpia, sisig, or adobo. Naalala din natin ang mga lugar tulad ng Pampanga na may traditional and conservative cuisine, o kaya naman Iloilo na kilala bilang food haven ng Philippines dahil sa mga diverse na pagkain dito, or Metro Manila for its unique and innovative Filipino food selection. Pero merong isang probinsya na less than 40 kilometers away lang sa Manila ang meron din rich history, diverse food, at innovative dishes ang hindi masyadong nabibigyan ng pansin pagdating sa Filipino cuisine. Let's discover the hidden culinary gems of this province, Cavite. Catch all the episodes of Flavors of the Region on our YouTube channel, Bitesized.PH.
For you, chef, what makes a dish truly Mindanaoan?
What makes a dish truly Mindanaoan is if it carries with it the history and the culture of where it comes from. So regardless if it's Mindanaoan or Ivatan or Ilonggo or whatever, I mean whatever cuisine or wherever it comes from, it has to come with a story. It has to come with a culture. It has to come with representation, and that's what makes it truly what it is. Like for Mindanaoan cuisine, it has to respect the people who came before, who prepared it, its origin, and we should not water down these facts. It should be presented with those. It's not about looking back and reminiscing. It's more about remembering how to glorify its origin and not forgetting where it comes from. Diba? Kasi a lot of chefs nowadays, I mean, like you said, you get excited, you're creative and all this stuff. You put something out and then you forget the very soul of that particular dish. Diba? And for me, as a purist, I mean, sometimes it's not about the technique or it's not about how we present it. Sometimes it's about the basic thing, the flavor and where it came from. Yun.
Chef, kwento ko lang pala. I just remembered to recently. While I was doing the questions, I ate during Christmas time.
Yes.
In Palm
In
Grill,
Palm
right?
Grill, yeah.
So I was there at Christmas. There was this one thing that I noticed that I haven't noticed in a while in restaurants. People were basically, may mga tao sa table, hindi nila alam yung order nila, but they're ordering it. And
Yeah.
they're curious about it. They always ask the server on what this is.
Yeah.
And then meron din isang table na hindi ko makakalimutan. And there's only one table, I think there's one person in the table that knows what the food is. And she was the one explaining
Yeah.
kung ano to, and ganyan. And this was for me, an experience na matagal ko nang hindi nakikita sa any restaurant. Kasi when you go to a restaurant, I say, people do, when they eat, most likely they have an idea on what they're eating.
What they eat, yeah.
But there, people were asking. Which
Yeah.
is, for me, parang a nuisance na minsan mo lang mararanasan. Especially when you try to observe restaurants.
Yes.
Kasi when I wouldn't say like when I observe, but I like to observe the feel of the restaurant when I eat. Kasi minsan, nag-iisip-isip lang ako eh. So yun, napapansin ko. Which is a nice take. I mean, I enjoyed having that type of nuances in the restaurant. Especially when you ask the staff na parang ano to, they explain it to you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, may mga tables talaga na parang they were there, they sat down on Christmas asking food that they have no idea what it is, but they're eating it on a Christmas lunch.
Yes, yeah.
Which is quite parang sa akin, okay, this is
Interesting, right?
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I'm happy that you had that observation because ako din, when I'm on duty at the restaurant, I always, from the kitchen, I always observe. And I like the fact that the restaurant became that. It's not anymore like a usual kind of thing. Now you dine, you already know what to order. When you sit down, you order from, and then it gets served, you eat, and then you leave. Dito kasi there is that moment of conversation. They talk with the servers. They talk amongst themselves. They ask questions. Because that's the purpose of why Palm Grill exists. It's about asking those questions. And looking like what you said. It makes me happy because Christmas Day lunch.
Yes.
And they're here trying something different.
Exactly.
Di ba? Parang nakakatuwa. Kasi, alam mo, in the scene of restaurant, wala na halos yun eh, di ba? Parang,
Yes.
kasi sanay na tayo sa usual. So, nawawala na yung interaction sometimes, di ba? I mean, totoo yun. Kahit ako, pag sa restaurant ako, nawawala na yung servers na nag-explain.
May explain niya.
Wala na eh. Sa Palm Grill, it's a training for them. You gotta explain because
And-
people don't know.
And
you
what
know?
surprises me is because, again, it's a Christmas lunch. So normally you would go to something that you are
Familiar with.
or something that you've been maybe craving for the whole
Yes.
year. I mean, it's very. I would expect example if the family is there for like yun talaga kinakain nila or they're really from Mindanao. But these people, basically, yung mga nakasabi namin was like,
First
they were
timers.
trying din. They
Yeah.
were just trying it. Diba?
Oo
Like I said,
nga.
I brought my family, first time nila kumain ng
First time.
Mindanaoan food. So parang, it's nice.
Yeah, Gio, of course, a lot of that thanks to the Michelin. You know, because that actually made our voices louder. It reached more people, and it some sort of became a validation for us as well for the work that we've been doing. And I'm so grateful for that because Palm Grill is about that. It's about bringing people in and their curiosities and interest in learning about that particular Filipino food. And I'm happy that it becomes a full sensory experience for a lot of customers, especially for first timers. So like yung sabi mong merong isa nagsasalita nag-explain, I'm 100% sure she's a regular customer. And she brought friends over. And she appreciated it so much so that she's the one explaining to everybody what it is. And I like that because it creates that environment of, it makes a scene completely different from the usual. I'm happy that na-observe mo yun,
I
Gio.
won't forget that kasi in order yung set.
Yeah,
Diba?
nadulang.
The whole set.
The whole set.
So I was looking at it parang, okay, I think I'm gonna order the set para
Yeah,
lang mas madali na lang din mag-explain.
Yes.
Which I also got the set din.
Yes, totoo yun. And it makes me really happy now, more than ever. That's why yung sabi ko nga, di ba, like, finally, the validation happened and finally it's happening for Palm Grill. And I'm so grateful for that after how many years. And I think I'll forever be grateful. And if I may just inject this to share with you, I came across some articles who said that Filipino food does not need foreign validation, right? Yes and a no. Yes, because Filipino food has always been great. No, because regional Filipino food still needs validation. You know why? Because it's sad to say that fellow Filipinos, in the almost 9 years I've been running Palm Grill as a restaurant, I needed that foreign validation because it was so hard for me to get fellow Filipinos to come in and to try. So that's why it's a yes and a no for me in that aspect. I don't completely agree. Na parang a lot of people were like against the Michelin coming in. Na parang hindi natin kailangan ng foreign validation because Filipino food is good. It's global. Well, yes and a no. Yeah. At least for me, I think I speak for regional cuisines. Not really. Because with Palm Grill, nahirapan ako eh. Diba? I mean, for almost 9 years, I get people coming in and then they step out, they don't try. Meron pa nga nagsasabi, baka masayang pera namin, hindi ko magustuhan. Diba, Gio? So, diba? So that's why sabi ko, no, it's not true. Ako, I needed that foreign validation. Because for the longest time, it was my biggest struggle. Yan.
And I agree with you, Chef. Kasi minsan pag walang foreign validation, kahit tayo mga Pinoy, ayaw natin.
Ayaw eh, di ba?
Yeah.
Ganun
Until
tayo
magkaroon tayo ng validation from
From others,
people
yeah.
siya na sabi, pwede pala yun.
Pwede pala. Alam mo, it's a trait eh. I think it's
yeah.
because of highly influenced by Western thinking.
Exactly.
So parang we always gravitate towards, so bakit kailangan ma-validate muna bago natin gawin at subukan? Di ba? Like, ako nga, hey, I've been existing in Tomas Morato for 9 years. I'm just there beside you. In fact, I get, stories like family also eating in the restaurant. Sabi, Chef, alam mo ba, neighbor lang kita. Sa may Roses lang ako. I'm like literally 5 minutes walk away. Matagal na kitang nakikita, pero dahil sa Michelin, kumain po kami. Right? So, yun. Mga ganong klaseng stories na parang, masarap pala talaga, Chef, ang Mindanaoan cuisine. Hindi ko alam. I mean, I get customers na, Chef, I am 78 years old. Maraming salamat sa ginagawa mo. Dahil in my 78 years of existence, first time kong nakatikim ng ganitong klaseng pagkain. Di ba? So, I mean, these kind of things make me really, really happy. Hearing all these stories. That's why I take it upon myself to, pag nalabas ko na lahat ng pagkain sa kusina, or pag alam kong palabas na lahat, lumalabas ako, nagta-table to table ako, right, Gio? I mean, you notice that. Because I'd like to talk to them. I'd like to make them feel na they deserve to be spoken with, to be thanked personally, And I think it makes it extra special when I come out. You know, when they see me, they take pictures with me, they get to ask me questions directly. And I think it's just a service that I need to give back.
Yes.
'Di ba? So, yung mga ganon na natutuwa ako. Kasi, 'di ba, parang uy, may ganito palang pagkain sa Pilipinas.
Totoo,
'Di ba?
totoo.
Imagine, it's just there waiting to be discovered. And not until we Filipinos see that we have gems amongst where we are and promote it with all our heart, then we'll never get to that,
Yeah.
you know, popularity that we want for Filipino cuisine. Kaya nga sinasabi ko, di ba, pag may foreigners, tapos tinatanong mo sila, what's your top 3 Asian food na favorite? You will never hear Filipino cuisine. I mean,
Yes,
cut my
right.
tongue.
Yeah.
You will never hear. You will always hear Chinese, Japanese, Thai.
Yeah, those 3.
Korean.
Vietnamese, actually.
Korean and Vietnamese is now starting to peak. And you will never hear them say Filipino cuisine. Why? We're partly to blame
Totoo.
kung bakit why. Sometimes we need to step back, look at the bigger picture, ask ourselves, bakit kaya ang Filipino cuisine hindi nabibida? Maybe because dahil tayo rin.
Ayun din, yeah. Exactly.
Partly because dahil tayo din. Masyado tayong, you know, leaning towards what's Western, what's in, what's new. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Pero pag kinakalimutan natin yung sarili natin, that becomes a bigger
Yeah.
problem.
We're trying not
Diba?
to, sinusubukan natin to fit in.
Oo,
We're
di ba?
not
To
trying
fit
to be
in. And then, because it's regional, it's not in. Di ba? Parang, why would I? Right? And that hurts us more than it helps us.
So,
So, sasabi ko nga, like when I watch teleserye, no? In the times and moments of my life that I get to sit down and watch a teleserye, I feel bad kasi sa teleserye, okay, the scene is magde-date. Ang dalawang artista kakain, magde-date. Pero ang kinakain nila steak,
Steak,
pasta,
yes,
wine.
exactly.
You know, like parang why can it be like a Filipino restaurant, kumakain sila ng sinigang, ng adobo, or Pyanggang, or tuler, whatever. Diba? So
Yes.
parang there's so much work to be done. Like Koreans,
Yes,
take them for
yes.
instance, right? I mean, sikat na sikat ang mga Korean novela. Pero pag nanood ka ng Korean novela, anong pinopromote nila? Music nila, culture
Kaya,
nila,
yes.
clothing
I think-
nila, food nila.
I think one of the reasons kung
You
ba't
know,
nag-boom ang Korean,
nag-boom ang
ang
Korean.
Korean food
Exactly.
was because napapanood siya sa K-dramas.
Exactly.
And they
So,
highlight it. They have a shot
and-
talagang
So, di ba, I mean,
slurping.
nagsaslurp, kumakain ng tteokbokki and
Yes,
all that. So,
lahat.
parang ikaw, as an audience, you're like, oh my God, gusto ko ng Korean.
Yeah, parang sabi na.
Yeah, di ba? And that's partly because they know how to take it in such a way it becomes an advantage for them.
Totoo.
And now, left and right, kaliwat kanan. Ako sa Morato, Diyos ko, talong-talo ako ng mga sangyupsalan, promise.
Yeah, ang dami.
Kaliwat kanan sangyupsalan at lagi siyang puno.
Yes.
'Di ba? I mean, I have nothing against that. I'm not jealous of the fact that puno sila. But ako, yung para sa akin, hindsight noon, parang, bakit yung sariling atin ang hirap nating mahalin?
Mahirap siya i-push compared to
'Di ba? I mean, before the Michelin, yung katabi kong sangyupsalan restaurant, laging pila. Nagva-viral pa siya sa TikTok. So pag nagva-viral siya sa TikTok, ang pila is like, umaabot hanggang sa resto ko. 'Di ba? So parang, hindi naman siya feeling of parang inggit. Pero it's more like parang, bakit?
Sana yung Filipino food
Oo,
ganyan
sana
din.
Filipino food ganun. Hindi lang Palm Grill, di ba? Parang, that's why happy ako in the likes of other Filipino cuisines now that are getting a lot of traction, punong mga restaurants. Natutuwa ako sa ganun, di ba? Kasi parang, look, I mean, there's nothing wrong patronizing others, but let's not forget our
Yes.
own, di ba?
Speaking of Michelin, Chef, congratulations by
Thank
the way
you.
on the award.
Maraming salamat.
Michelin
Gio.
Bib,
Yeah.
the first and only Mindanaoan restaurant to
Yes.
have a Michelin
Bib
award.
Gourmand.
A Bib
And a
Gourmand,
Tausug,
yes.
yeah, Tausug.
Tausug is basically
Yeah.
any Mindanaoan restaurant kayo
Oo.
unang-una.
Oo, totoo. At
So can you take us through kung ano yung process na pinagdaanan? From basically, I don't know, the screening, going to the awards.
You know, Gio, there's no screening.
Screening, okay.
Because the truth of the matter is, hindi mo talaga alam
Yes.
kung kailan siya darating. Although, of course, yes, because we were invited last year, as early as, I think it was February, we were invited, chefs and restaurateurs and, you know, the likes, just an announcement lang.
Okay, the
Na
Michelin
parang,
announcement.
mission announcement na darating sila sa Pilipinas. It was like parang some sort of like a nudge to us na parang, oh, maghanda kayo.
Yes, yes.
Diba? Pero as for us, for me, wala naman talagang preparations eh. Kasi, ang sabi ko when I got back to the restaurant, ang sabi ko lang sa team ko, I sat them down in a meeting. Sabi ko, oh, darating daw Michelin. Sabi ko, well, wala tayong babaguhin. Let's continually do what we've been doing. We've been doing this for 8 years. Sabi ko, gawin lang natin. Ang puso natin is doing this. So, it doesn't matter if it is given, if it's not, then God knows.
Yeah.
Kasi ako, I'm a very spiritual person din, Gio. Parang I always believe in the perfect timing of things.
Yeah.
Ako din parang, I mean, I live by the principle of haste makes waste. So parang I don't rush into things. I'm a firm believer of it comes when it comes.
Right.
So that's why it took a long time for Palm Grill. It's been there for 8 years before nag-branch out and all that stuff. So yun. So wala. I just did what I had to do. We had to do every single day. Kasi we believe in our product, we believe in our purpose and causes. So ginawa lang namin yun. So when I got the invitation, it was a plain invitation. It didn't say anything. Na parang it was like a chef's invitation, the date, the time, the venue, what to wear.
Is it the announcement of the things or the
No, yung
awarding?
awarding na.
Okay.
So the inaugural
So chef, from the
ceremony.
announcement going to the awarding, ilang months yun?
Tagal yun. Kasi February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 8 months.
8 months, okay.
It was 8 months. Although, so syempre nung February, March, April, May, June, syempre, maybe those were the times that they were going around. Nag-ikot na sila, no? So, when I got the invitation ng October, it was weeks before the inaugural. So, it was just a plain chef's invitation. No, pero syempre, I'd lie to you, Gio, if I'd say na I didn't hope for anything.
Yes,
of course,
yes,
you know, as a human being, I hope, sabi ko pa nga sa Lord, prayers ko ng Lord, sana with all the hard work and the experiences I've had, if you were to give this to me kahit selected, sabi ko kahit Michelin selected, okay na po ako. And then the time came. Pagdating ko, there were over 150 chefs and restaurateurs in the venue. So the feeling was nerve-wracking. Alam mo yun?
Yeah.
Yung parang, oh my God, Josh Boatwood is there.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
The big
Chef
names.
Aaron was there. I mean, the Who's Uchella was there. The Hapag boys were there. So parang, like, oh my gosh, like, will I still stand a chance? Alam mo yun? May
Yes.
ganung thinking ka na. Pero sabi ko nga, bahala na. I'm here. I'll enjoy this. Whatever happens, happens.
So also by being in that company, that's already a
oh,
milestone.
being invited to be
yes.
part of that is already a milestone, di ba? I mean, not everybody got invited.
Exactly.
So parang, okay, ganun. So I just enjoyed it. In fact, I was seated beside Chef Tatong Sarto and Sir
Yeah.
Eric Teng. I was in between them. So parang sabi ko, sana selected yan kayo. What you're expecting? Tatong was like, bahala na kahit ano. Di ba? So, and then they started announcing the winners na. So first were, I think 74 Michelin selected restaurants. 74, no? Yata. Sabi ko pa kay Tatong, no, 74, ang dami. So syempre, I was hoping against hope, di ba? I was crossing my fingers, Lord, sana kahit dyan. And they were starting to call restaurants alphabetically. So I have two concepts. I have Cabel, which is C, and I have Palm Grill, which is P. So nilagpasan na yung C, wala na. Sabi ko, may P pa. Nilagpasan na yung P. Si Chef Tatong kasi Lord, yung restaurant niya, ano, natawag siya, red carpet na siya, sa stage na siya, ano, ganyan. Lumagpas na yung P, wala. So, okay, sabi ko, alright, that's it. Pagdating ni Chef Tatong, sabi, Chef, congrats, I'm so happy for you, ganyan, you know. In my heart, wala na. Tapos na 74 na tawag. And then the next was 25 Bib Gourmand. 19 were from Luzon, and then the remaining Cebu, out of the 25. So, I remember saying to Chef pa yun, sabi ko, so 74 nga, wala ako sa 25 pa kaya. Di ba? Parang, and I was looking around, ang dami pang other chefs, di ba? Who was also very great at what they do. And their concepts are amazing. Tinawag si Cabel. I was like, oh, ikaw yun, sabi ni Chef Tatong. So I walked the red carpet, I went up the stage, I was in cloud 9. Oh my God, Cabel. Di ba, my friends, Nelson, my partner, my mom, Melissa, my friends, they were all rejoicing, and other friends from the industry. So I went up the stage, I got the award, I was standing there, I was so happy, I was in cloud 9, and while I was on stage, I was standing beside Marvin Agustin, Kochi. I was on the stage, I heard, Palm Grill Diliman. I had to look back, and I was like, sabi ko pa kay Marvin noon, I don't know if he remembers this, sabi ko pa sa kanya, ako ba yun? Sabi pa niya sa akin, ewan ko, sino ba si Palm Grill? Diba? So parang, I was like, it was only until bumaba na ako at nandun na yung isa pa, dalawa na yung hawak. It's when it dawned on me na parang, oh my God, both of my restaurants were given Bib Gourmands. And I don't remember anymore. Wala na akong maalala. We were whisked left and right. People were starting interviewing. flashes of pictures and all that. Parang hindi ko na maalala, basta I was just overwhelmed with so much joy. And I remember I went to the nobody knows this.
Okay.
I went to the restroom ng saglit, and then I just cried. Sorry. I get quite,
That's a big moment.
yeah.
So,
you know,
a very inspiring moment, syempre.
I always get emotional when I remember that moment because of all the hard work.
Yeah. All the sacrifices and challenges was worth it.
Oh yeah, and you know I'm sorry, Gio, but the joy, the feeling, and the hard work. You know, when you get the flashback of all these things, and that's when you say it was
Worth it.
worth it. Yeah,
Beautiful, chef. Beautiful.
thanks.
You have rice, coconut, and sugar. These are like the three basic ingredients that you have. But how amazing it is when people can actually produce different kinds of dessert, of kakanin, just from these three basic ingredients.
Learn more about these regional delicacies and delicious sweets here on Desserts of the Philippine Islands. Catch all the episodes on our YouTube channel, Bitesized.PH.
Which is much more, kumbaga, memorable for you? Winning it for Cabel or winning it for Palm Grill?
Winning it actually for both.
For both.
Yeah. It wasn't really, you know, just Palm Grill and all. Because both concepts were put out of hard work and labor, you know, and labor and heart. So it was winning it for both. But more importantly, it was winning it for the Tausug people and winning it for Mindanao. Because they never went to Mindanao. They went as far as Cebu. And having Mindanao represented in that
Agree.
moment was really the icing on the cake for me. It was an overwhelming feeling to finally feel that you were seen, you were heard, you were validated. And that's why when I always go back to that memory, it always brings me tears because it's a moment I will cherish for the rest of my life, I guess. You know, so and not a lot of people know that. And that's why when I get diners coming in the restaurants and they criticize, you know, they compare, they leave out reviews that are unpleasant, you know, it hurts you because beyond that is a deeper meaning. I put the restaurant up because it wasn't solely because it was a business to earn money. Because if it was solely about earning money, we would have folded up long before even the pandemic came. But we did not. We persevered because for us it was keeping afloat. So many years of that 8 years was not about earning. It was keeping afloat and making sure that it survives. And it wasn't about that. I mean, all the people I work with, my employees have been with me, most of them, from the get-go because they understand us. They work with us because they know what we are doing and the purpose of why we do what we do. They know na many times over, it's break even. We barely even earn anything. That's the truth of the matter. Because our purpose was, sige lang, basta wala tayong utang, bayad kayo, mga sahod nyo is on time, at buhay ang restaurant, nakaka-serve tayo every day, okay lang, let's keep on doing this. So that's really the heart of Palm Grill. So that's why when I get people coming in, you know, becoming food critics and putting out reviews in the open that are hurtful and not well thought of, you know, it hurts us because, you know, sometimes you have to understand, you know, where it comes from. And we're not here in the business of earning money and enriching our pockets and all that stuff. No, we're here in the business of representation, you know, because that's what matters more to me. Because at the end of the day, I say this a lot, Gio, the life that you live by is what's important to me. Because I can't bring all this stuff when I go. When the time comes, I shall go, I shall leave this world. Hindi ko naman dadalhin lahat to may iwan Pero gusto ko maalala yung ano yung iniwan mo. 'Di ba? Yung pera, I mean, you'll find that. You lose it, you earn it, it's gonna come. But it's changing people's lives and perspectives. And even the staff that I work with in the kitchen, in the service, they all know this and they value this, you know, and they value this a lot. In fact, even if they don't have salary increases, they choose to stay because nakikita nila yun. And changing people's lives is the number one priority aside from representation. Alam mo yun. And it makes me proud na I only don't serve food, I only don't serve representation, but I also change people's lives. And those things matter the most. Yeah.
So how do you handle the pressure of being a representative of a cuisine of a whole region? How do you handle the pressure now?
Well, I don't see it really as a pressure. I mean, I just do what I do on a daily basis. And I'm glad that for some, maybe, not for all, but for those who see me as a perfect example of a representation, I'm grateful for that. There's no pressure, but all I can promise is I'll continually do my best to stay true to who I am, to the work that I do, to represent where I come from. Diba? I mean, I'm not just a Tausug, I'm a Zamboangueño as well, I'm a Mindanaoan, I'm a Filipino. And to represent that, it's really huge shoes to fill. But all I can say is, I mean, I've already brought it up to the Michelin level, to that global stage, and I'm already very happy I'm able to do that for everyone. And it's already there, for everyone to consume. So for me as a person, I'll continue to do what I'm doing with all honesty, to continually promote, to expand the flavors to other parts of Mindanao as what I promised others, and to just dedicate my life into that service. Yeah.
So Chef, what was the main difference after winning the award? Ano yung nagbago sa Palm Grill for you and Cabel?
Well, for me personally, I feel like a bit more famous than I used to be. I mean, I'm not accustomed to everybody asking for a photo. So pag nasa resto ako na parang, Chef, can I have a photo with you? And I see them tagging me on Instagram, on Facebook, and I'm enjoying that moment. But I guess more than anything, I'm glad that I'm glad that I was brought up in a household where being grounded and humble is essential, and it doesn't affect me in a way. I enjoy the moment. That as personal aspect, I'm having fun. Brands are noticing. Maybe future brands, if they would like to come in and find and see me as a perfect representation for them, I can partner with. These things I'm enjoying now more than ever. And for the restaurants, I mean, the lines are almost every day. I mean, there was a month, November and December, we're almost sold out every day. And now it's January, I still get a lot of people, and it makes me extremely happy because on the business side of things, I get to help more people.
Nice.
I get to hire more people. More job opportunities are open now. My suppliers it trickles down to my suppliers. Dati I only have 2 suppliers, now I have 4 of a specific thing that I need. So on the business side of things, it makes me happy because it trickles down to others. Job opportunities, suppliers, all that stuff. But for Palm Grill as a whole, I'm happy because more and more people now are getting to discover it and are telling me that it's really good. Getting people to say upfront na parang well deserved, you deserve it.
Yes.
It just makes me extremely happy. Na naririnig ko na sinasabi nila, kaya naman pala, meron ka kasi masarap talaga ang pagkain. Yeah.
So Chef, where do you see the Mindanaoan food movement in the next 5 to 10 years?
I want it to be part of the conversation. In the future, I want to see other Filipino restaurants offering Mindanaoan specialties. Because the truth of the matter is, when you go to Filipino restaurants now, you'll never see Mindanaoan cuisine. Sometimes you would come across it as a special for the month,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Pero never a staple. So that's my dream for Mindanaoan cuisine, is for it to be a staple, for it to be always to be part of the conversation when you talk about Filipino cuisine. And I'd love to see it in the menus of other Filipino restaurants. Parang when you go to any other restaurants, you'll see, oh my gosh, there's Pyanggang, there's Chula, there's Piaparan, there's Linigil, there's all this stuff.
Yes.
That is what I see Mindanaoan cuisine moving forward, diba? So hoping to do that. That's what Cabel does. Cabel is Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and I'm proud of that concept because it sits right next to the palace. So, and we know that the president gets a lot of guests, international local, international, and that becomes some sort of their go-to restaurant to try and to highlight and represent Filipino cuisine in that matter. It makes me extremely proud.
What's next for Palm Grill?
What's next for Palm Grill? Palm Grill is
Would you have any new branches?
yeah, we were slated to open last December, but due to internal problems with construction and whatnot, hopefully this end of January we're opening our third Palm Grill branch at the
Congrats.
Naiya Terminal 3
Wow, congrats.
at the arrivals area. Yeah,
Solid.
thank you.
This is the newly
yes.
renovated.
The uni renovated, and
Nice.
I'm so grateful for them calling me and saying we would like to have your concept in our airport because we believe in the representation and all the things that you do. And yeah, we're opening finally at the arrivals at the new all Filipino food hall. It's called Tambayan, and it showcases the best of the Philippines. And Palm Grill is going to be part of that concept. And hopefully we're opening very, very soon. So that's the third for Palm Grill, yeah.
At the end of the day, what do you want your legacy in the Filipino food scene to be?
Okay. Okay. Legacy is I'd like to be remembered as the person who fought for and championed Tausug cuisine and Mindanaoan cuisine when nobody else dared to do it. And I want to be remembered as this person who dedicated his life into making sure that regional cuisines and Filipino cuisines are something that we can be proud of as Filipinos talaga. Not to be ashamed of. And I like to be remembered as that, chill, fun chef who did it and who succeeded without giving up on the pressure that the world gave him. Parang yun. Yeah.
Beautiful, Chef.
Thank
Ganda.
you.
Maraming salamat,
Thank
Chef
you.
Miguel, for
Thank
joining
you.
us here in Grab a Bite. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I learned a lot.
Oh.
I really enjoyed the conversation. I'll be back in Palm Grill soon pag bumalik ako sa North again.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation. Hope
Thanks, Gio.
we had fun.
Me too. I'm so grateful for this. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for sharing this time with me and allowing me and my voice and my story to be shared to your followers. And thank you. Maraming salamat.
So
I'm
Chef,
grateful.
ito, you could actually plug anything you want here, restaurants, or maybe baka meron kang mga brand deals na gusto mong i-plug.
Wala
and
naman.
Follow. Anything. Just
To everybody, I'd like to invite you all to try out Southern Mindanaoan cuisine over at Palm Grill. We have 3 branches. The main flagship store is in Tomas Morato, Quezon City. You will find us in Araneta at the new Gateway Mall 2 for our mall branch. And hopefully, also when you travel in and out of the country, at the Terminal 3 of the Naiya will be existing there as well. And I also have a Heritage Filipino concept called Cabel in Manila, San Miguel, just in front of the palace, the Malacanang Palace. So please do try, support Filipino cuisine, and you can also follow me if you want to. I mean, I have Facebook and Instagram pages. You'll easily find me, Chef Miguel Cabel Moreno. And Palm Grill also has that, and Cabel. So yeah.
Alright, so thank you so much, Chef. And basically, that's it for us here in Grab a Bite. We'll see you again soon in our next episode. Bye. Cheers.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to follow all our socials at BiteSized.PH para updated kayo sa new episodes namin. See you in the next episode, foodies. Bye!